Hey, this is Edwin, and welcome to Tech Words, the brand that brings together industry experts. Today, I'm alongside Hector Amaral, and we're here to evaluate the merits of the latest technologies.
In today's episode, we turn our attention to the massive showdown between two giant cloud services, Azure and AWS, both established cloud services coming from the heads of giants in the tech world, Microsoft and Amazon. But before we do that, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. It will be much appreciated.
As I said, I'm Edwin, and I'm a software engineer at AWS, and I will be entering this debate on defense of Azure because it's an amazing cloud provider which has a robust set of tools which is designed to build scalable enterprise-level applications.
And I'm Hector, lead software engineer at Advancio, and I will be on Team AWS for this particular episode because it is a flexible service that's been around for quite a long time and has a lot to offer. So this battle will be discussed through 5 points: computing, networking, storage, security, and pricing. Edwin and I will rate each feature on a 1 to 5 scale, depending on how well it solves these points. And at the end, you guys can decide which service fits better for your application. So let's begin.
So first of all, I'm going to explain what cloud services even are. Cloud services are a collection of tools and let's call it features that provide us with all the toolkit that we need in order to build enterprise level applications. We can configure computing solution, networking solution, and even recently you can configure even your own AI services with cloud providers. Do you think the same thing, Hector?
That's right, Edwin. Cloud services are platforms of software that are hosted by third-party providers, and they are made available for end users so they can focus on developing applications using those services. So that's the main key of those cloud services, and they speed up the development of applications for the end users. So Edwin, what are your impressions of how this debate is going to be?
Well, I think both cloud providers will have their own strengths and weaknesses, and we will have to decide at the end of this debate which one is the best for our solutions. And you, Hector, what outcome do you see from this?
I think this debate is going to be a good one because we're going to have the chance to compare the big cloud providers that are available for the end users. So our public can decide which one is best fit for their application. So let's start already, shall we, Edwin?
Yeah, let's start with this battle. So let's start with our first topic, computing. I think Azure has an edge over AWS because it offers a more diverse and flexible range of compute solutions. Azure has virtual machines, containers, serverless functions, and even dedicated hardware for high-performance computing. Azure also supports more operating system languages, frameworks, and tools than AWS. Azure has a better hybrid cloud solution with Azure Arc, which allows you to manage and deploy applications across on-premises, edge, and multi-cloud environment. Azure also has more innovative and visionary approach to compute with services like Azure Quantum, Azure Synapse Analytics, and Azure Machine Learning.
AWS has a more mature and reliable compute platform than Azure. AWS has been the leader in the cloud computing for over a decade, and it has the largest and most extensive global infrastructure. AWS has more compute instances, regions, availability zones, and edge locations than Azure. AWS also has more specialized and optimized compute services, such as Lambda, Fargate, Outpost, and Graviton. AWS has more customer-centric and market-driven approach to compute with services like EC2, Batch, Elastic Beanstalk, and SageMaker.
All right, that's fair. I think the points that you brought to the table are fair. I think those are very good and valid points about Azure and AWS. So I will give a rating of 4.5 points to Azure, given the fact that AWS provides a slightly better solution in terms of computing.
In this point, AWS takes the victory because it's been around for more time and it's a more mature service than Azure. So at this point, I rate AWS a 5, straight 5, and Azure is going to be a 4.52. I think AWS has an advantage over Azure because it offers a more robust and scalable networking platform. AWS has a more advanced and flexible virtual network service called Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, which allows you to create isolated and secure networks for your cloud resources. AWS also has a more powerful and versatile load balancing service called AWS Elastic Load Balancing, or ELB. which automatically distributes incoming traffic across multiple targets. AWS also has a more comprehensive and integrated networking portfolio with services like Direct Connect, Transit Gateway, VPN, and CloudForm.
Yeah, AWS provides with a lot of features, but Azure also has a more user-friendly and cost-effective networking platform than AWS. Azure has a more intuitive and simplified virtual network service called Azure Virtual Network, which allows you to create and manage networks for your cloud resources. Azure also has a more intelligent and adaptive load balancing service called Azure Load Balancer, which automatically balances incoming traffic across multiple targets. Azure also has a more consistent and unified networking portfolio with services like Azure Express Route, Azure Virtual WAN, Azure VPN Gateway, and Azure CDN for content delivery networks. So for all of these reasons, I think I will give Azure this time a 5 points because it provides a more intuitive way of handling your networking resources in an easier manner than AWS. And for that very same reason, I will give 4 points on the network feature for AWS.
In the networking department, I think I'm going to give Azure a 4 point, and I'm going to give AWS 4.5 because I think AWS still offers more flexibility on the service than Azure, and Azure still has to mature their services to reach to the levels that AWS is already on the market.
Now let's talk about the storage. I think Azure has a lead over AWS because it offers a more reliable and secure storage platform. Azure has a more durable and resilient storage service called Azure Storage, which provides 99.99999% of data durability and supports multiple redundancy options. Azure also has a more encrypted and compliant storage service, which supports encryption at rest and in transit and meets various industry and regional standards. Azure also has a more diverse and compatible storage portfolio with services like Azure Blob Storage, Azure Files, Azure Disk Storage, and Azure Data Lake Storage.
AWS has a more performant and economical storage platform than Azure. AWS has more scalable and fast storage service, called Amazon Simple Storage Service or S3, which provides virtually unlimited storage capacity and supports multiple performance tiers. AWS also has more flexible and cost-efficient storage services, which supports various pricing models, such as pay-as-you-go, reserve, and on-the-spot. AWS also has more extensive and specialized storage portfolio, with services like Amazon EBS, Amazon EFS, Amazon FSX, and Amazon S3 Glacier. Regarding storage, I think both services offers a lot of options, and I think it's hard to rate them or compare them. So I will give them each of them 4.5.
From my perspective, both cloud providers give us a good set of tools to handle blob files and files in general, but I will give Azure 5 points because it provides a little bit more tools and let's call it features that allows us to bring more flexibility in terms of storage. So I will give 5 points to Azure and 4.5 to AWS on this specific topic.
Now, an important point for cloud services, security. I think AWS has an edge over Azure because it offers a more comprehensive and proactive secure platform. AWS has a more holistic and integrated service called AWS Security Hub, which provides a single place to view and manage your security alerts and compliance status. AWS also has a more advanced and automated security service called AWS Guard Duty, which uses machine learning and threat intelligence to detect and respond to potential threats. AWS also has more extensive and diverse security portfolio with services like Identity and Access Management, Key Management Service, and Firewall Manager.
On the Azure side, Azure has a more accessible and collaborative security platform than AWS. Azure has a more user-friendly and centralized security service called Azure Security Center, which provides a unified view and control for your security posture. Azure also has a more consistent and compatible security portfolio with services like Azure Active Directory, Azure Key Vault, Azure Firewall, and Azure DDoS protection. So for all of these reasons, I will give to both provider 5 points because they both provide their own solutions in terms of threat protection and security. And I think both of them are very good approaches to the security topic.
On the security front, I think I will give Azure 5 points, and I will be AWS 4 out of 5, just because I think the platform that Azure offers is a little bit more user friendly for end users. And this is key because on security, everything is kind of complicated, and making it easy for the user to visualize and to manage it, I think is a big advantage over AWS.
Now let's talk about the point that can change people perspective, pricing. I think Azure has a better pricing model than AWS because it offers a more transparent and predictable pricing platform. Azure has a more simple and straightforward pricing service called Azure Pricing Calculator, which allows you to estimate and compare the cost of various Azure services. Azure also has a more stable and consistent pricing service, which does not charge extra fees for data transfer, network traffic, or API requests. Azure also has a more flexible and generous pricing portfolio with services like Azure Free Account, Azure Hybrid Benefit, Azure Reserve Instances, and Azure Cost Management.
AWS has a more competitive and dynamic pricing model than Azure. AWS has more detailed and customizable pricing service called AWS Pricing Calculator, which allows you to estimate and optimize the cost of various AWS services. AWS also has a more variable and responsible pricing service, which adjusts the prices based on supply and demand, region, and performance. AWS also has a more diverse and rewarding pricing portfolio with services like AWS Retire, saving plans, spot instances, and AWS budgets. On the pricing front, I will have to give AWS 5 out of 5 because I think it's offered the most available or the most cheaper options of those two services. And I think Azure still has to make some adjustments to keep up with the pricing model of AWS. So Azure, I'm gonna give them a 5.5.
In terms of the pricing, I will give 5 points to Azure and 5 points to AWS, even though I will say that the pricing will completely rely on the way you use these platforms. I think AWS still provides better pricing options, but if you use Azure on a thoughtful manner, you should get the best out of it without having to pay for a yacht for a price of your resources. So it's a matter of having all the tools for budgeting properly. And I think Azure already provides that. You already have all of these tools that allows you to know how much it will cost having certain instances or certain service active on your cloud provider. So I think both have their pros and cons, but I will give 5 points to both cloud providers. So on this final section about the tech words, talking about Azure and AWS, I think both are very great cloud providers in terms of the set of tools that they give us for creating any type of projects. It could be infrastructure as a service, a software as a service, or big data analysis, or even AI with the latest features additions for all of these cloud providers. So I think it's unfair to say that one is best than the other. I will be more inclined to select Azure over AWS, but it's because that's the cloud provider where I'm the most familiar. But I will also understand, or I could also understand why some people will choose AWS. And even though we are not talking about other cloud providers, I think it's fair to also bring them into the conversation. So we shouldn't choose a cloud provider based on our biases but in our will to learn a new technology and how we can implement those technologies into our software or infrastructure solutions.
I think both cloud service providers offers a lot for new developers and for senior ones. And I think I have to say that my personal preference or my recommendation will be to decide on whether you are willing to learn a new technology or whether you want to stick to the technology you already know. For example, I would recommend the people that it's on the Microsoft ecosystem, like the .NET World. I recommend them to stick to Azure because it's more friendly for them. Azure is more friendly for Microsoft technologies. And AWS is more robust and it's older. It's been longer in the market, but it could be a little bit more complicated for beginners. So I will recommend like beginners to stick to Azure because it's more user friendly, and if they are in the Microsoft ecosystem, it will be there for them. For the uh, for the senior developers out there, I would recommend them to go to AWS because it's more robust and it will offer more options on the market. As we wrap up this episode of Tech Wars, I hope you enjoyed our exploration of the expansive topic of cloud services. And we hope that you learned something new.
So join us on the next episode of Tech Wars as we dive into the fascinating world of low code and no code.
If you have any insight, don't hesitate to comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts and insights. Don't forget to subscribe and share your feedback. Visit our webpage down below, and thanks everyone for being part of the Tech Wars community. Goodbye.